Johnston Chapter 3 Video Discussion Group Number 1. The chapter begins with a story relating a novice therapist working with a family and their child with autism. They collectively decided they needed to make him aware of his behavior, choose appropriate behaviors, and eventually he would be able to explain what behavior is appropriate. This reflects a mentalistic attitude towards therapy. This attitude suggests the person is choosing an inappropriate behavior and needs to learn what appropriate behavior to choose and demonstrate. This is in complete contrast to radical behaviorism. It is an easy trap to fall into because a complete culture has believed this for millennia. Language, law, religion, education, and many other aspects of our culture are based on the idea that humans choose their behaviors. Other animals may rely on instinct in their environment to guide behavior, but humans are believed to be better than other animals and choose their behavior. On page 48, he expands upon the idea of the dead man's test to include not only inaction, but also action subject to the laws of physics. Inaction or remaining silent, for example, fails the test for behavior, and so does falling or getting hit by something. He says, "A live organism behaves in ways that cannot be fully explained by Newtonian physics. Therefore, actions that simply follow physical laws are not behaviors and cannot be studied or modified. I think it can be expanded to biological laws such as involuntary shivering when cold or variations to heart rate." He does not mention this, but to take the idea further, an organism that initiates a physical event is displaying a behavior. I can jump off something and fall. However, the jump is the behavior, not the actual fall. The result of the fall can be reinforcing or punishing for the jump behavior. He stresses in the first 3 boxes throughout the chapter that much of scientific work focuses on a very short timeline. This consists of looking closely at antecedents, the behavior, and consequences. There may be a new reinforcer tested to promote learning a new behavior, and then evaluating the consequences in their power to reinforce or punish. He explains that this timeline is too short, and there is usually a vast history of experiences driving behavior. In addition, many behaviors are classed together, such as getting ready in the morning. Physical changes in the environment can contribute to the cause of behavior, but the change is never a complete explanation. Personal history always affects the response to that change. He mentions the difference between private events, such as thoughts and feelings, and public events, which are more easily observed by others. He says the difference is only in how easily they are observed and tested, but there is little difference in their overall importance. He explains this very well as he discusses thinking. Thinking is usually verbal in nature, whether words are physically spoken or not. When a thought is spoken aloud, it is no more of a behavior than when it exists solely in the person's mind. It is only more easily observed. Previously, science had to discount what is not easily observable and measurable because of the limits of their testing ability. A side effect of this was that thoughts and emotions were also minimized in their importance. Skinner and Johnson argue that they are equally important and the scientist needs to find a way to observe them. By the end of the chapter, he has deconstructed many mentalistic ideas such as moods, talents, emotions, and even the act of thinking itself. He states frequently that these ideas are not the causes of behavior. He also says this is an easy trap to explain behavior and not investigate further. However, they do serve a purpose as a sort of shorthand for describing a complex class of behaviors and experiences. For example, saying someone is temperamental could be shorthand for saying that someone has displayed many behaviors in the past that did not correlate to predicted behaviors based on easily observable stimuli in these specific instances. By the end of the chapter, he seems to soften his stance on mentalistic language. As a scientist or therapist, it is okay to use a word like temperamental when you acknowledge that it is simply shorthand or a way of making language expedient. However, it is never acceptable to ascribe temperamental as a cause of behavior. The therapist must investigate the exact behaviors that have led up to a person being summarized as temperamental. This investigation has to lead to appropriate interventions because just the word temperamental will fail. For box 3.6, does everyone think? On page 59, Johnson argues that because the phenomenon we call thinking mainly involves verbal behavior, then anything lacking verbal behavior cannot think as we would define it. Is it possible to think without words?